Hi and welcome back to my channel and welcome to Vlogmas Day 3. I've read 100 books this year and these are my 5 favorite. So let's talk about them. Also, can we take a second to appreciate the tabs? I'm also going to go ahead and rank them as we go, but I will say I have not decided on which one is my absolute favorite. I am still between 2. Maybe we'll be able to figure out in this video which one I like more when I talk about them and reminisce about them. As of now, I am still between 2. With that being said, let's get started. So in 5th place, my 5th favorite book of the year, if you will, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. It honestly pains me to even put it in 5th place because I feel like this is one of the most perfect and unique books I've ever read. I can't even express to you how much I love this book. There is life before Addie LaRue and there is life after Addie LaRue. It was genuinely life-changing to me. I just remember reading this book in the span of 2 days. I could not put it down. And I know that's a big critique of this book, is that people say the middle is pretty boring and it's slow to get into, slow to get started. I personally did not feel that way. I was hooked from the jump and I loved the character it was talking about in those slow parts that people are talking about. And I just feel like this is a book that, like, if you get it, you get it. You know, like, you have to be there for the experience. And I don't know another way to explain it other than just like you are there for the characters. Okay, Addie is the most tragic character I've ever read about. And I love her so much. Genuinely, she would just be existing and I would be crying just thinking about her. But also the amount of mixed feelings I left this book with. And I love that. I love feeling confused by a book. I love ending a book feeling like it's up to interpretation, and that is very much what happens with this book. I don't want to give any spoilers, but I will just say this is one of the most unique books I've ever read. It has some of the most beautiful writing I've ever read, and until this book, I had never really felt like right when I finished the last page, I want to go right back to the first page, but with this one I did. 4th place, we've got Two Twisted Crowns. Technically, I kind of want to just put the whole Shepherd King duology in this place, but if I have to choose one, I did rate this one 6 stars. I feel like One Dark Window on its own is a perfect book. I just felt like this wrapped up the story so well, and the extra POV that's added into this one is so good. I said it a little bit in my reading vlog when I was reading this. I was getting very much like Throne of Glass vibes from this. This is probably the closest I've ever felt with a fantasy series to how Throne of Glass felt to me. And I genuinely think if this had been given like 6 to 8 books, I would feel the same way about it as I do about Throne of Glass. That's not to say I think it should have been that. I think this is a perfect duology. It didn't have the syndrome of just trying to stretch it out as a money grab. I just feel like these 2 books summed it up perfectly. But like I was saying, I think with this world and these characters and just how I feel about the writing style, if this was a bigger series, I definitely would have put it up there with like Throne of Glass. And I'm still putting it up there, okay? Like, this is such a good book. I would not change a single thing about this duology. I think everyone would enjoy this. Like, this isn't one of those books where you're like, it's my favorite, and I feel like I have to explain to you why I like it. This is when I feel like everyone reads it and it's like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. In 3rd place, we've got Saving Six from the Boys of Tommen. This is book 3 in the Boys of Tommen series. Currently, there's 5 out. I have not read the most recent one, Taming Seven, but I've read the first 4. I love this book so much. Specifically, I love Joey and Aoife so much. Joey's one of my favorite characters of all time. I think just what he goes through, what he handles, how he comes out the other side. He is just one of the most inspiring characters I've read about, and like the most I've rooted for a character. It is truly a struggle to read these books because you are so in it and so invested. The writing style in these books is so real, almost. Like, it's not like it's like poetic, but it feels like you're there. I don't even know how to explain it. If you've read it, I feel like you will understand what I'm talking about, but it feels like you're there, and I feel like I was experiencing everything with them. I cried so much in this book, okay? And this is also one of my most tabbed and annotated books. I wrote and tabbed everything in this specific book, because it's book 1 and not book 2, doesn't even have a happy ending. Like, everything about this book is tragic and traumatic. And I also just I read this one so fast. I was so invested that I could not think about anything other than this story while I was reading it, and my real life was put to the side when I was reading this. Like, I was only thinking about what was happening here. And my moods throughout the whole time I was reading The Boys of Tommen was genuinely affected because I was just thinking about this, nothing else, just this, and trying to read it. Nothing can genuinely prepare you for it. The stuff that happens in this book, nothing could have prepared me for it. It's just such a unique reading experience that you have to go through it. I seriously think this is one of the most loved series I've seen. I genuinely have only seen a couple people who actually didn't enjoy this series. That's not to say that you have to enjoy it. I'm just saying that from a perspective, I think it is worth the hype that it gets. So do with that what you will. Now, here is where I can't decide which one is my favorite. So right now, these are both sharing first place. But we've got The 7-Year Slip and Daisy Hates. You might be thinking to yourself, every other book you already said is better than those two. And that might be true for you. For me, I can't explain it to you, but this is just, these are me. Okay, so let's talk about them. The 7-Year Slip. This is the book I would recommend to literally every person I've ever met and say, I think that you would enjoy this if you read this. If you still have not read The 7-Year Slip, this is your sign. This must be one of your next reads because this is genuinely a perfect book to me. I think it is the most perfect romance book that ever existed. It is a standalone. It is only like 300 something pages. It's literally 320 pages, and I cried more for this book than pretty much any other book other than Saving Six and Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. Okay, this is my soul book. I say it a lot on TikTok, but I don't know if I've said it here. This is my soul book. I think everything about it is perfect. I tabbed it and annotated so much. There are tear stains in this book from me crying for it. This is one of those situations where it was just so exactly me that I could never rate this less than 6 stars. This book was literally written for me. You know when you read a book and you're like, I swear the author was looking at me and had an image of me pulled up and said, let me write this book for that person. That is what this book is for me. I want to reread this once a year for the rest of my life. And like I said, I would tell anyone that I know to please read this because I think that they would enjoy it. If you do relate to it on a deeper level like I do, like just a lot of the themes in this book, a lot of the events that happen aside from the time travel, I can relate to. And for that, I was putting myself in the book every time. And that's why I was crying so much. But it's also just so beautiful and unique. And the magical realism is so special. That love across universes thing is just so impactful, you know? So there's just so much about this book that I felt was perfect. I felt like everything was perfect about this book. I knew halfway through that it was going to be 6 stars. And I finished this and it changed my life. And I don't know if any book will ever make me feel the way this one did specifically. I love this book so much. Lastly, we've got Daisy Hates. I talk about this book all the time as well. I know that this one is no one's favorite in Magnolia Park series, but I almost like it better that way because I feel like this one is mine. I love this book. I think this was the most perfect book in the series. I think Daisy and Christian are the best characters. Daisy is me as a character. So the way I was talking about The 7-Year Slip as a book, that's how I feel about Daisy. If I was going to write myself, I would write myself as Daisy. She is the most relatable character I've ever read about. I love her so much and I could literally cry just thinking about her. And don't even get me started on Christian. Christian is my favorite book boyfriend of the year. He's definitely top 2 for me of all time. Everything he has to say, I'm sad. I'm listening. All of my tabs, that was all just me underlining anything that Christian said because I love him. I love him so much and I don't think anyone's going to compare to him for a really long time. And their story just means everything to me. As well as Julian. I love Julian too so much. I feel like he's better in The Great Undoing, so that's why I'm not mentioning him as much, but just even getting introduced to him in this one, I love it. The story of this one, like everything about this book is just perfect. I was sat from the beginning. It's one of the most I've ever been invested in a book. is what started my love for romance books, okay? If I hadn't read this, the trajectory of my life would have been changed in a different way. Like, this is why I read romance books, because of the way this one made me feel. It was one of the first romance books I ever read, and Magnolia Parks was great. I rated it 5 stars. This changed my life, okay? This one changed my life, and I wouldn't change a single thing about it. I think about rereading this book all the time, pretty much every day. I think about Daisy every day. I think about Christian every day. I can't even explain to you the impact that this had on me. So I'm so excited for the next Daisy books, but yeah, I don't know. Those are my 5 favorite books of this year so far. We do still have 20 days left of the year. I'm not sure if they will still be, but I'm pretty sure they will be. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next vlog.